From our 22 News Broadcast Center, this is 22 News in Focus.
Good afternoon and welcome to 22 News in Focus. I'm Nick Oresco. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of Americans found themselves unemployed. Now that the economy is getting back on track, employers are looking to fill many vacant positions. Today on 22 News in Focus, we're talking with an organization that helps persons with disabilities and other barriers find employment. Joining me now is Janine Pavlak, the Chief Executive Officer of NEBA. Thank you for being on the program, Janine.
Thank you, Nick. I'm glad to be here.
Of course, we appreciate it. So let's first get some background on what NEBA is. When was it founded and why, and what is the mission?
So it was founded in 1983, and way back then, we had a local state institution, Belchertown State School, and it was closing its doors and people were moving out into the community. And NEBA was founded as an organization that would help individuals find employment in the community. So it was just another option for people to have, so people had different choices of kind of what they wanted to do once they got out of that state school. And so we've always focused on employment for the past 30-something years now. So the mission really is to assist individuals with disabilities and other barriers become empowered through employment and hopefully become as self-sustaining as possible.
Who are your clients? Who do you mainly focus on?
So we have 3 different state contracts. The Department of Developmental Services is our largest funding source in both Massachusetts and Connecticut. The Department of Transitional Assistance is as well. And in both states, Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission and Bureau of Rehabilitation Services in Connecticut. And then we work with several local school systems as well.
About how many placements do you make annually?
It's a little tough because our retention rate is really high, but I'd say we probably on average probably develop around 250 new jobs on an annual basis. But again, the average length of time that people are retaining their jobs is quite long. And so we're not always, kind of developing for people all the time.
What types of businesses do you partner with and how many are currently involved with you guys?
So that's another number that changes all the time. There's not any kind of business that we don't work with. We really tailor our relationships with businesses in terms of, kind of what are their needs, what are their pain points, who are we serving, what are their needs and their talents, and then we do that matching. And so we have hundreds of different employers that we currently are working with.
And why would a business seek your services?
I like to call it headache relief. So you never know who you're really getting during an interview, right? You can interview in a phenomenal way, but you may not really know what you're doing. And so we really make sure, again, that we're really understanding what that business needs and how that business works. And we really understand what the person that we're working with, what they really need to be successful and what they can really bring to that company. And so we can then carefully match that. And then we'll provide some support along the way in terms of helping the employer, how do I best support and, kind of onboard my new employee.
Now, do you offer educational opportunities and job training for the individuals they hire through NEBA?
We can, okay. Yes, absolutely. And then we also provide some certifications and trainings for individuals in certain, industry segments that they can go ahead and go through even prior to, kind of meeting the employer that they're going to end up working with.
What are some of those educational opportunities?
So we currently are running a manufacturing certification program. We partner with a Mass MEP. And so the reason for that is that industry is so competitive right now to get into, and there's a lot of resources going in to provide manufacturing certification. But because of the population that we serve, they can't necessarily get through all of those, specifications. And those, again, the seats for those programs are pretty limited. So we partnered with Mass MEP, and we've been doing the certification program for 2 years now. And so that's just another career option that people can enter if they're interested.
What are some of the requirements for a business looking to partner with NEBA?
Well, the requirement is that they have a business need, that they want to fully include and embrace their new employee. And really, that's all. They're going to hire someone, and that's their employee, like everybody else that they hire. We're just kind of that matchmaker, if you will.
Yeah. How do individuals looking for a job apply for your programs? Is it an easy process? What's the type of process?
So it can be a really easy process. So anyone who is receiving or will be receiving services through the contracts that I mentioned, the Department of Developmental Services, the vocational rehabilitation entities, or the Department of Transitional Assistance, they can be directly referred. Oftentimes local school systems will, talk to us about specific students that they have, and then even some individuals who might not be tied to those funding sources, they can, certainly go right on our website, request some information, and we can set up a meeting right away and figure out how, is our organization the best one to support them.
And your organization is not only in the state of Massachusetts, it's kind of all over the country. Talk to me about the positions across the United States and how that came about.
Sure. So we started in Massachusetts and then again moved into Connecticut, but Social Security, which this is a whole different show, has an interesting program. So if anyone's earning Social Security disability income or supplemental income and they're between the ages of 18 and 64, they get what's called a ticket to work. So it's not a physical ticket, but our organization has been vetted and approved through Social Security as an employment network. And so anyone across the country can reach out to us and we can do that support virtually. And we really kind of hone in on what those industry demands are in those different states, and we do a lot of small business help as well.
Headquarters in Springfield, but you said you have 40-something across the country?
Correct. Just we don't have physical offices. We
Right.
just have one physical office, but all of our work is done in the communities.
All right. Well, NEBA offers multiple services. We'll have that conversation right after the break. You're watching 22 News in Focus. And welcome back to 22 News in Focus. Today we're talking about employment opportunities for persons with disabilities with Janine Pavlak, CEO of NEBA. Now, your organization offers programs for both students and adults seeking employment. Let's start with your student services. Some of your clients are in high school and upon graduation have to transition to full-time employment. Some might be moving to houses where they have to learn to be more self-supportive. So what do you offer for pre-employment transition services?
So for pre-employment transition services, we do some kind of self-advocacy, really learning how to advocate for what you want and what you need. Financial literacy is a big one, especially if you're talking about moving out or even just trying to contribute to your family's household. Doing some interest assessments and inventory so people have a sense of maybe what they are interested in, and we can match that through career clusters, doing some tours remotely or in person of different businesses and different, kind of job duties. Social skills in the workplace, that's usually a big one. How do you ask for time off, making sure you're on time to work, all those things. Resume writing. Oftentimes we can do either paid or non-paid work evaluation, so people can actually kind of get in there and try something before they make a decision as to where they want to go in the future.
So how does your assessment, exploration, and job placement service work, and how does it help individuals target their career pathway?
So through, kind of again going through that explorative process, we can narrow down the scope of interest that people have, and then again, kind of keep honing that down. Why are those interests? What are people's just innate talents, and how do you match that to those interests? And what's available in the local communities in which people live, right? So people might have an interest, but where we are, maybe that job doesn't exist right now. So what is the closest thing that we can kind of find? Our business partners are wonderful about doing informational interviews and really talking to people about what they look for in hiring people and kind of what a day in the life at this company looks like. So all of those things really help, especially for students or adults if they haven't worked before. Really again kind of make some decisions about here are the places that I'd really like to explore more and have some conversations with employers about.
I want to talk about your Level Up program. Who's eligible and what does that include?
So Level Up and pre-employment transition services are both funded through vocational rehabilitation services. And so they include the students. So for 14 to 18, students are eligible unless they're staying in school until 21, then they can continue until they're 21, and they pick the areas in which are going to be the most beneficial for them. And so there's 7 different areas, so they can kind of take one and then move to another one, come back in another year and do something different. But it's always around, again, identifying your interest, identifying your skills, really preparing yourself for that interview, that job search, that resume, those soft skills, and again, a lot around financial literacy and advocacy.
Another program is the Project Search program. Who is eligible for that and how do they apply?
So currently that's an adult, for us it's an adult program, and so the Department of Developmental Services in Massachusetts currently works with us on that program, and so individuals who are around transition age, 18 to 21, in Massachusetts, individuals who are on the autism spectrum disorder, they can apply directly through the Department of Development Services, or again go to our website. That's almost a year-long program. We have a host site with Springfield College, and so students there the interns go through 3 different 10-week internship rotations throughout the school year to really kind of, again, help them identify even more of, kind of what are those interests and where are they going to start their career path. Oftentimes it leads to a direct hire from that host business, which is wonderful. So we have Springfield College right now, Cooley Dickinson Hospital, and then in Connecticut, we're working on a site down there as well.
Where in Connecticut?
We're hoping Sikorsky.
Okay. Career Ladders is another program. What's involved in that?
Very similar to pre-employment transition services, but you can kind of hop in and out. So it's, you come in and you're really learning again about how do I identify my interests, going through a vocational profile, and again, working on all of those same things that I mentioned. A heavy focus on financial literacy and advocacy and the social skills, soft skills.
What's involved in the Learn to Earn program? You have a one-on-one tutorial support to learn academic life and social skills in partnership with Springfield College, as you mentioned. How does this program work?
So that's actually our On Our Way program. That's an academic program for individuals who want to either continue on with their education or at least maintain, kind of their educational, kind of status. And so we partner with the college, and there's practicum students and interns who will work directly with individuals on, again, whatever subject it is. It could even be getting their driver's license, but, meeting math skills, all of those things, any kind of increase in any of those skills lead to more options for career pathways.
Now, once a client is placed in a job or training program, do you have a follow-up or continuation of services to help keep them on track, or if they need additional training or need to actually find a job?
Yes. So we're always there. I should say always. If the individual wants us, we're usually there in the first, kind of initial orientation period. For those who need a little extra support, we're there until, they're really comfortable and they've really kind of assumed all of their job tasks. We work really closely with the employer to determine what support we're going to be providing and what their role is. And then we look to kind of fade our supports. But we're always phone call away. Right. So if somebody needs us to, stop by, come in, learn a new task, any of those things, then we're available to do that.
Any hesitation when you do get some new clients? Maybe they're, nervous about what you guys offer. What do you tell them to, one, get them comfortable, and then do you go from there? What are those type of things?
Well, I'd say we really let the person know that they're the driver here, and so, we can offer them many different options, but ultimately we're going to work with them on, again, what they're interested in and what's going to work best for them. And so they can dictate how our services are going to look to some extent. For people who are really nervous about maybe starting a job for the first time, then that's where we can spend a little extra time maybe doing some of those informational interviews and job tours and, kind of talking to peers who have recently got some employment, those types of things.
Well, especially your first job too. I mean, it's a nervous thing to go out in the workforce.
Right, it is. It is. And anytime you start a new job, it's nerve-wracking.
Yes, it is.
And that's normal. We offer courses during the week, or not courses, but just kind of opportunities for individuals to come in and kind of talk about how they're feeling with other peers who are feeling the same thing, and we can bring in speakers, even employers, they feel nervous too.
Right.
So,
Everyone's
we all
nervous.
Do. So.
It's a comfortability thing.
Yes.
All right, NEBA offers services geared for adults and partner employers. We'll have that discussion right after the break. You're watching 22 News in Focus. You're watching 22 News in Focus. We've been talking about employment and job training for disabled persons through NEBA. Now, previously we spoke about youth services. NEBA has programs and services geared towards the needs of adults. You have a career ladders program for adults. How is this different from the ones that you offer for the youth?
So for adult, there's a lot of similarities, but for the adults, it's more focused on, again, kind of career clusters. And again, you know, it's the social skills and the advocacy skills that people need to be able to really kind of navigate their employment and their coworkers and all of those things. We spend a lot of time on those. Those aren't things that you really learn until you're on the job. And so unfortunately, if you haven't had that experience, it can become kind of overwhelming. And so we spend a lot of time kind of practicing those scenarios.
Who is eligible for this program? So
they would be adults who either have funding through the Department of Developmental Services, the vocational rehabilitation entities, the Department of Transitional Assistance, all of those same funding sources, as well as private pay and through the Social Security Ticket to Work program.
Now, do you find that many clients are in need of financial literacy? You have mentioned this previous in this show. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So I would say almost 100% of the individuals that we work with live below the poverty line, and financial literacy is critical. And there's a lot of fear, particularly with people who are collecting Social Security disability benefits. So, you know, how is work going to now affect my benefits? And there's a lot of myths out there. And so, you know, really being able to understand that and meet with a certified benefits counselor that we have on staff who can really kind of look at everything that person is receiving and do really kind of a walkthrough, like this is every single thing that'll affect your benefits and how you'll make out. And I'd say about 95 to 97% of people who choose work end up doing far better than remaining on their benefits. But that's not true for 100% of the people, so that's why it's really important to understand that information.
We talked about starting a first job or even a new job in general can be difficult and scary. Filling out a job application and writing an effective resume can also be pretty difficult and can make a difference on whether or not they actually get an interview. What do you tell your clients to focus on, and do you have counselors that can help them with these type of tasks, that resume, cover letter, things like that? Yep,
so our staff absolutely support everyone through that process, and we have people really focus again on, you know, what can they bring? Right? So what are the things that people just love about you that you've heard all of your life? Like, let's focus on those things in your resume, and certainly during your interview as well.
Do you offer job interview preparation skills?
We do.
What types do you offer?
So we do one-on-one job prep interviews. We'll do some video recording so people can kind of look back and self-correct. We do some informational interviews, which are some of my favorite when an employer is really just talking to people. So again, it really depends on what the person's looking for and kind of where they're at in that journey.
What other counseling services do you offer for adults?
So I've said financial literacy many, many times. Particularly for our Department of Transitional Assistance referrals, we focus a lot on there's 7 roadmap things that people like, you know, what's their network like, their own personal network, because we all need that safety net. And so we kind of help people navigate that. Everyone we serve, like, who's in your personal network? How do you reach out for help if you need that help? How do you know if you can really trust someone? How much information should you share to, like, you want to eventually move out, or you want to have, these are your goals. How do you save the money? How do you manage that? Again, where can you go to help for that? If you need housing, let's connect you to the places that can help you with that. So it depends on what the person needs.
And what's the age range that you work with? Is there a too young or too old?
I would say beginning at age 14 is good. We work with some folks who are certainly 67, 68, which
we need a job, right?
Right, and they certainly have the opportunity to retire, but they're really loving their job, and so that's great. So hopefully we'll all be like that. Really too young, it's never too young, though, I will say, for even families to start setting the expectation that employment's really important. And those things come from, like, team sports, come from chores around the house, like those discussions which sometimes are dismissed for individuals with disabilities.
Let's talk about employer services. How does an employer become a partner with NEBA?
So we're always out in the community meeting with employers, again, finding out what their needs are. We attend lots of events. Employers are invited through our website to, kind of just put in an inquiry and we can go out and meet with them. And so whether they're looking for employees, whether they're looking maybe for some assistance, kind of coming up with some universal design principles within their company, we can do that. We can do some diversity and inclusion training and consulting.
You mentioned the word training. What does some of that training consist of?
For employers?
Yes.
So, again, it's, if they have a plan to diversify their workforce, like how do they go about doing that? How do they go about recruiting individuals? What are the things that they really need to be aware of and make sure that their employees are aware of? And, kind of what resources can they offer all of their employees? So
let's talk about your offices and where they're located and how can someone apply for your programs?
So our office is on Industry Ave in Springfield, so people certainly can pop in. The easiest way is really to go through our website because there's an area for if you're a student or if you're an adult or if you're an employer or if you're an organization looking for consulting. And so you can just go right on in. We get that email, we get an alert right away. We respond within 24 hours and then go from there.
And what is that website?
It would be nebaworks.com.
Okay. All right, well, I'll have some final words when we return. You're watching 22 News in Focus. You've been watching 22 News in Focus. Today we've been learning about an organization that helps persons with disabilities and other barriers to help find employment. Thank you to Janine Pavlak, the Chief Executive Officer of NEBA, for being here today, giving your insight. That website one more time, if you could, with your organization.
Sure, so it's nebaworks.com. Super simple, best place to get information and inquire.
All right, sounds good. And thank you for watching at home. If you missed any of it, you can watch it in full on our website at wwlp.com. From all of us here at 22 News, we hope you have a great day.